Hello lovelies, welcome back to another video. This is Prwwtygem, and in today's video, this is a little story time of when I lost my virginity. It's a little embarrassing. Teehee. So, I was 16 years old, and I remember already thinking about it. I had seen certain films and videos, when you're that age, you're curious, you've seen stuff. I was curious about sex, and I was thinking, I kind of want to try it. I thought to myself, I want to have a boyfriend. I want to be in a relationship to do it. So it was all planned out, 100% on my end. So I was like, okay, first thing is first, I need a boyfriend. And I happened to meet this boy. I remember we were at the lakes. We used to go swimming. It was during the summer. And there's this little skater boy, white boy, long hair, total skater boy. He was so cute to me. At that time when I met him, I already knew I was looking for a relationship. So I started talking to him, and things evolved pretty quickly. He was into me. Why would he not? Not me being cocky or anything, but no, I'm joking. He was into me. We got along great. He was a little skater boy. He was a good boy. So was I. When I was that age, I think it was my freshman year that I was 16, I think. I was still pretty in my good era, I was into school, doing sports and stuff like that. So we ended up dating. He asked me to be his girlfriend, and I was so happy because in my head I was like, it's gonna go down. And so we had the conversation. He wasn't a virgin, but I was. So I was like, okay. So it was a good thing that he had experience. I was like, I probably want somebody that has experience doing this, for the first time. It's a little awkward, and I didn't know really what I was doing. But we planned the whole thing out. So he came over one night, and it was super late at night. I had to sneak him into my room. And I was in my room. I used to live in these apartments, and we used to live on the second floor. So it was a little hard to get him up there, but I had my brother's help. I remember I told him to pretend to go to the bathroom, flush the toilet so I could open the door, blah, 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 while my mom was sleeping. And so we ended up in my bedroom. And I remember being there, and I already knew because we had already talked about it, what was gonna go down. I remember being there, and I was so scared, and I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually gonna do this. It's gonna go down. And we get down to it, whatever. And I remember, obviously, first ever position I feel like everybody does is missionary. So that's how it kind of went down. And I wasn't turned on at all. There was no lubrication whatsoever. This man told me that he had experience. I know now that wasn't how it was supposed to go. But back then I didn't know there was supposed to be lubrication. It was really bad. Let me just tell you guys that there was no lubrication, and it hurt. I kid you not, I did it, and afterwards I was thinking, this is what I was looking forward to, this is what I wanted. I had planned this whole thing out to lose my virginity and everything, and it was just not what I expected at all. It wasn't good. It didn't feel good. It hurt. After the first time, I went months without wanting to have sex again and do it again, because it was just so painful and uncomfortable, and I did not like it. I'm like, why in the films, like, these girls are like moaning and having a great time and enjoying themselves? I'm like, I don't feel like that. Like, it didn't feel like that for me. But I feel like for your first time, it's not supposed to be like that good. Like, nobody teaches us how to have sex. Nobody teaches us how or what it's supposed to be like, and what are we supposed to do. Like, I remember just laying there and kind of like I was clenching everything, because I kid you not, like, girls, I know this might be like TMI, but for the first time, like, you're there and it just literally feels like so hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, it's so painful the first time. And I don't know if it's because, like, he was kind of big, but it was just like so uncomfortable, you know, and like so dry. I think that was like a big thing. It was just like, it's not supposed to be like that dry. But it was my first time, you know, so like, obviously you don't know that when you like start off. So my first time, let me tell you guys, it was a terrible experience. Like, I did not like it. So he's married now. I think he's married. He has a kid. He is with somebody. I'm very happy for him. I ended up breaking up with him after a few months. I wasn't vibing with him anymore. And I don't know if it was because of the bad experience, that he was my first time and it wasn't like a good experience for me. Like, he didn't really know what he was doing. But yeah, that was my first time, and I definitely did not want to have sex for a long time after that. But I feel like it's normal for your first time to be like that. Like, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to enjoy it like I do now. Like, I have learned, just like we all do. So that was the first time I ever, got down and dirty. The other first time, I wanted to get into it as well, just to make the video a little longer for you guys, is the very first time I ever snuck out. I don't know if you guys know, but I used to be like a really, really good girl. I used to be a straight A student. I loved school. I was in all the after school clubs. Like, I did everything right up until I got to high school. Once I got to high school, I remember this was the first time that, like, I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sneak out. I was at a quinceañera. My mother was supposed to pick me up that night. I met these boys with my cousin. I was with my cousin. We met these boys, and they're like, oh my God, let me pick you guys up. They were a little older. They could drive. I think I was like 15 at the time. And they're like, let me go pick you guys up to your apartment, like, we'll just hang out, go to the park or something. And I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, like, my mom would literally kill me. Like, I cannot sneak out. But I was into these boys, you know, like, you're young, you're like excited, you meet some boys. So we go back to the apartment. I get picked up and I'm in the room, and I had gotten their information, so I'm texting them, and they're like, hey, like, where do you live? Like, we'll pick you guys up. And I was like, I can't leave. Like, I was so scared. I had so much anxiety. Like, I literally felt like I was gonna throw up. They're persistent, and they're like, no, like, we'll totally pick you up. It's fine. And we're like, okay, fine. So I managed to get out of the house. And I remember going down those stairs, and literally, like, I felt like my heart was, like, beating out of my chest. Like, it was the type of anxiety, and, like, I was so scared. I was like, if my mom, like, goes into the room and notices that I'm not here, like, I'm dead. Like, she's gonna kick me out of the house. She's gonna do all that. But luckily, so I was able to sneak out, and like, I was out with them, and I kid you not, I didn't even have a good time. I was terrified the entire time. I had so much anxiety, and I was like, oh my God, like, how am I out here right now? Like, this is so wrong. I just felt so wrong for everything. And surprisingly, I did not get caught that night. So I go back into the house, and it was like, I remember it was like 2 a.m. at the time, maybe like 1, 2 a.m. because the party ended like at 10. And then I get back into the house and my mom's still sleeping. And I was like, okay, like I get back into my room and I'm like, I'm fine. That was the beginning of chaos, let me tell you, because once I like had gotten over like that fear of like sneaking out, or like I did it one time, I felt like every other time after that just became easier and I just stopped caring. But that was the first time I snuck out. It was not a good time. I was definitely not having a good time with them. Like all I could think about was my mom and like what she would do if like she found out that I was gone. But I feel like after that time that I did sneak out, it just became easier to sneak out. And I'm not recommending this to like anybody young, obviously, but this is just my experience and what I went through. I kind of went through a phase where I was a really, really good girl and like got straight A's and, you know, was all into school. And then in high school, my high school period was chaotic. I was a wild child. I was going down the wrong path, like doing all of these things, obviously. I feel like everybody has a little phase. And then out of high school, I kind of learned how to manage both sides. I'm still very wild, but with responsibility, and I take care of what needs to be taken care of, have the priorities, and then have fun, as we all should. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my little story times, my first times. I feel like we all have a first for everything, and it's just interesting to hear everybody's stories. So I hope you guys have enjoyed mine and getting to know me a little bit more. I used to be a really, really good girl. And I feel like deep down, I was always like wanting to break rules. Like I have always been a rule breaker. I don't really like to follow norms and stuff. So kind of broke that out as I grew up and finally like came to know myself, I would say, and really just embrace both sides, the dark and the light, because I feel like we are both all the time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment. We are growing quite quickly now and I love it. I love to see the views going up, the subscribers going up. So blessings, and thank you so much for being part of my lovely family. I will see you in the next video.